Hey guys, on today's review, we're going to talk about
the Alpine's new iLx-107. So stay tuned. So this guy is probably one of the most anticipated radios to come out this year. The reason why
is wireless CarPlay.
That's right. This unit is the first and only, at time of filming, unit that has a wireless CarPlay built into it aftermarket. You don't have to plug in the CarPlay over USB. We're gonna get to that soon enough. First, let's open this box up and see what comes inside. Now there's a ton of little bags inside this thing, so be careful, don't lose them. Open it up on a clean surface like this, because it's a ton of stuff.
Alright, so we have
the owner's manual, or quick start guide I should say. This is just a quick start guide for installation. This is not the full owner's manual. To get the full owner's manual, you need to go to the website and download it. It's a very, you're going to want to go to the website and download it.
So we have the microphone over here?
Yes, Bluetooth microphone, and also the mount for the Bluetooth microphone is in a separate bag. So there's two bags for it. This is...
I just put it in.
Yeah, you put it in there. So this is the mount, this is the microphone. They come in two separate bags. The main power plug.
USB extension.
It's about a 5-foot USB extension. There is only one USB on it, and this is it. This harness here. This is the CAN harness. This has the backup camera, the auxiliary input, and the input for iDatalink. It has the yellow RCA on it.
Harness.
Next we have the harness with the orange input. This input, the orange input here, is for steering wheel controls, and then the secondary black harness here, a little bit longer, is for the microphone. Then you have the harness with the 3 greens. This is your 2-volt RCA output. You have front, rear, and sub. You also have an externally mounted GPS antenna. This does not have built-in GPS. This is only to help your phone when your phone is down in the center console or possibly in your pocket, because it is wireless.
If you open it.
Bag of screws. And a trim ring. That's everything that comes in the big bag that is inside the unit. Let's go ahead and pull the unit itself out. That's my hand. So here you go. So this is the unit itself. As you can see, it's a 7-inch touchscreen and it's L-shaped. So let's take a look at the back of this before we get to the front. So on the back of the radio, the only 2 harnesses that are actually connected to it are the FM antenna and the GPS antenna. It also has a cooling fan on the back that they say not to obstruct. It doesn't make a ton of noise, so don't worry about hearing it from the front of the screen. At the bottom here is where your green preamp cable plugs into. Next to it here is where the orange steering wheel control input plugs into, the main power plug. Then up top here is where your yellow iDatalink cable plugs in. It has a lot of cables on the back of it. When you open it up, make sure you open it up someplace safe. As we just showed, there's barely anything plugged into the back of the radio. You have to plug everything in. That's why it comes with a big bag. So make sure you open the big bag someplace where you can lay the cables all out. As you're pulling them out, best idea is to plug them in so you don't lose any of them. Because if you lose one cable, that's pretty much done on the radio. Alright, now we're going to turn it around, power it up, and talk about all the features it has. So once the unit powers up, the first thing it asks is to select a language. There's actually 20 different languages that you can choose from. Select OK. Let's talk about the screen a little bit. The screen is a 7-inch WVGA LED backlit capacitive touch screen. It has 1,152 picture elements. That's 800 by 480 times 3 RGB. It has 50 watts by 4 or 18 watts by 4 of real power. It has 6-channel 2-volt preamp outputs. So it has a few hard buttons, volume up and down. It has the Siri button, and if you press and hold it, it'll go ahead and show you your devices. You can pair up to 4 devices for wireless CarPlay. You can select them also just by tapping. You have the main power button or home. If you press it, it'll take you home. If you press and hold it, it'll power the unit down. Tap it anywhere to wake it back up. The last 2 are going to be track up and down. Let's talk about FM real quick. If you scroll your finger across, it'll bring up your presets. This little dot here is your preset number. So for example, preset 1, preset 4. If you notice at the top below the clock is your FM 1. If you tap this button here, it'll take you to FM 2. Tap it again, it's going to switch to AM. You have 12 FM and 6 AM presets. If you tap in the corner, on either side, it's going to scan for you. If you tap the gear speaker in the corner, it'll take you to audio settings. We'll talk about those in a little bit. Now the only other native source that it has is an auxiliary input. If you tap the home button, it'll take you to aux. Now auxiliary can be used for 2 different forms of auxiliary. You can have audio auxiliary or you can have video auxiliary. You can also tap the gears with the display and you can adjust the picture quality for your auxiliary. So if you're playing movies and you need to adjust them, you can do that here. You can also get to the EQ settings. So one thing that you'll notice is missing in the source page is USB. It comes with a USB cable, but it doesn't have it in the source. The reason why is USB is only for 2 things. CarPlay, which you can still do wired, or software updates. That's it. You can't plug a thumb drive with music or movies or videos or anything like that on it. Let's go ahead and select gears, which is going to take you into the main menu. The first thing up is audio. We'll come back to that. Next up is display. This is going to take you to that same page you were on where you can adjust the brightness, contrast, and all that. Next up is general. General is where most of the settings for the radio are. This is where your time is set. You can adjust the clock. You can have 12 or 24 hour display. Tap here. It's going to go ahead and get you to hours and minutes. Tap back. You also have a daylight savings on and off button. This is where your language is also at. Text scroll. Touch sound feedback. The noise that you're hearing every time I touch a button is controlled here. So instead of just having on and off, you can actually turn the sound up or down. That's a really nice feature. Mute while backing up. If you're adding the backup camera to this unit, you can select this, and what it'll do is when the car is in reverse, it'll mute all sound so that you can pay attention to the camera. Screen and lighting. This is where your dimmer is, your key illumination level, that's these guys here, you can make them brighter. Screen dimmer level. What this allows you to do is when the dimmer is connected, it's how dim do you want the screen to go. Opening customization. This is the splash screen, the screen that says Alpine when you start up the radio. You can change it, however it is not the easiest thing to do. You need a BPM file, which is a bitmap file. That bitmap file needs to be 800 by 480 and it needs to be an RGB 24-bit file. If you can do all that, you can change the screen through the USB. About is where all your information is at. The name of the radio, the serial number, the software, the Bluetooth software. And then also restore settings, where it says clear all settings. If you tap this, this will take the radio back to out of the box settings. Now, thing of note also, you see where it says Bluetooth. This unit doesn't actually have active Bluetooth that you can use because it's wireless CarPlay. You don't need it. The only reason why the Bluetooth is there is for pairing, which we'll get to in a minute. And then this is where your demo mode on and off is. Last is application. Application is where you're going to find your camera. So if you come in and tap camera, you can go ahead and turn your camera on. Now this only has one camera input, but if you don't want a backup camera, some people just want a front camera, you could choose front, you could choose side, or you could choose rear. If you choose rear, tap the arrows. Now this will give you a couple more things, as in guide adjust. This is going to pull up your backup lines. You can adjust all these points on here to make it easier to back up and not hit things. You can also turn some of them off. So if you don't want these red ones, you can turn it off. You can also link. If you're doing the iDatalink Maestro RR, this is where your factory audio controls will be. External accessory controls is for if you're going to purchase the KAC-001. That is a 8 accessory controller that will then allow you to have on-off switches on the radio to control things like lights, winches, and other things that need basic on and off control. Now once you've turned on camera and you go back to the home screen, you'll notice it's added a camera icon. This is so if you want to view the camera when you're going forward as opposed to in reverse. Now you can do some customizations for it. If this is bothering you on the top, you can switch it to the bottom. You can also turn off the guidelines. This is so if you just want to see what's going on behind you and you're not actually backing up. Go ahead and select X and it'll close out of that. Alright, now for the moment you've all been waiting for.
Dun, 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 dun.
Wireless CarPlay. How do you do it? Well, wireless CarPlay is done over Wi-Fi. Now, it's just a peer-to-peer Wi-Fi, meaning it's just Wi-Fi that allows it to talk from this to this. It's not Wi-Fi that's connecting to the internet or anything like that. So don't think just because you hear the term Wi-Fi that you're going to be able to stream Netflix and Hulu and all that jazz. None of that's going to happen. All it's allowing it to do is stream CarPlay. Now, that's not to say that you can't open your phone and go on the internet and do all that fun stuff there. It's just not going to display on the screen. So it's not prohibiting you from connecting to any local Wi-Fi or while you're driving. I don't know how you do that, but you get the idea. So how do you pair wireless CarPlay? Well, first you want to press and hold the Siri button until it brings up the phone menu. Then go to your phone's Bluetooth and have it look for other devices. Go ahead and click on the Alpine. Click OK, click Pair, click Allow. What it's doing is it's using the Bluetooth to connect the Wi-Fi to the phone. You don't go through Wi-Fi, you just do it all over Bluetooth. If you notice, it just disconnected. It's because it's no longer connected over Bluetooth, it's just connected over Wi-Fi. Now at this point you have wireless CarPlay. Now let's go ahead and take a look at CarPlay for those of you that are unfamiliar with it. If you are familiar with it, you can fast forward at this point to where we actually start talking about the sound settings. Wireless CarPlay is designed to make your life a little bit easier. And how it functions is through the 4 main things that your phone has. Phone, music, maps, and text messaging. All of these are done via hands-free. If you tap the icon,
who shall I help you call?
It'll go ahead and ask you who you'd like to call. You can also show contacts. You can scroll through. Over on the side here are fast keys to the last services you used. Hit the bottom to bring you back. Music will go ahead and show your music. Click back. Here's all your playlists. GPS is going to use the GPS that's on your phone. It's also going to have destinations. It has fast keys here. So if you want to find a restaurant, you can tap this. Go ahead and select home. Messages.
Would you like to hear your unread messages or create a new one?
Never mind. Go ahead and select home. Now playing is the music you're currently listening to, podcast, audiobooks. Then you have other apps that are going to be CarPlay compatible, such as iHeartRadio, Audible, NPR, Pandora, Spotify, TuneIn Radio. The one thing you have to keep in mind about CarPlay is that you actually don't even need the apps to use the service. If you press and hold the Siri button, call Fernando Lopez.
Calling Fernando Lopez.
It'll go ahead and call for you. You don't actually have to open the phone book to do it. We'll go ahead and select them.
Has been forwarded to an automated.
You can do the same thing with text messaging. So if you press Siri, text Susan.
What do you want to say to Susan?
Using you as a demo right now. Have a nice night.
Your messages. Using USA demo right now. Ready to send it?
Cancel.
Okay, I won't send it.
Now if you're driving down the road and a text message appears, there'll be a gray bar that appears at the top of the radio. Go ahead and tap it.
Fernando said, "Welcome back, happy face with hugging hands. Welcome back. Want to reply?"
No thank you.
Okay.
And then it'll go back to playing the music that you were listening to. Now, if you miss it, it's no big deal. Simply press Siri and say, "Siri, play me back my last text message." And she'll go ahead and do that for you. Now, CarPlay is pretty much one of the coolest features available on the market right now. The other thing to keep in mind is that, like we said, you can pair 4 phones over the wireless service. That's wonderful, but what if somebody gets into your car that isn't a normal driver for it? Let's say an aunt and uncle come into town and they're going to borrow your car. If they have an iPhone, that's okay. You can plug their phone into the USB and you'll get full CarPlay over USB. You won't have to worry about it. They'll get all the same hands-free features that you're used to. So you don't have to worry about Uncle Fred driving, looking at, doing this. You won't have to worry about that. It's real simple.
Right.
Yeah. The Siri Eyes free portion of it is also real handy. We just showed you a few features that it's capable of doing. It's also, you can ask it things like, take me to Carrabba's, and it'll find you the closest Carrabba's, and it'll take you there. So it's a very helpful feature to have built into your radio. Other than features such as CarPlay and the Auxilary and things like that, upgrading your stereo is usually done for one feature, and that is
Better sound quality.
That's right. You can have all the cool features in the world that you want, but at the end of the day, you still want it to sound good. And this unit is packed full of awesome new sound settings. So let's take a look at those. To get back to the main menu, select the Alpine logo. Then go ahead and click the gear with the speaker on it. The first feature to come up is balance and fader. Most radios are going to have that. Next is your bass and treble. Now, the thing to keep in mind about the Alpine radio is that it is as easy or as difficult as you want to make it. If you like simple bass and treble control, it has simple bass and treble control. If you'd like to go deeper, it has that as well. You have your subwoofer level control, as well as turning the subwoofer on and off. You can also change the phase of the subwoofer here as well. Bass Engine SQ. Bass Engine SQ is designed to improve the impact of your music. So if you go ahead and turn it on, it's going to allow you to choose your style. You have standard. Standard is designed to give you a boost in the mid to low end. Next, you have punch. Punch is a heavier boost with more low end impact. Low bass enhances the very low bass to give you a much heavier presence without punchy mid bass. Mid bass focuses more on mid bass for systems with smaller subs. Rich adds a boost to all low end bands for a more bass filled sound. You also have a 0 to 6 level control here, so not only can you pick bass type you'd like, but you can also control its effect. Thing to note, when Bass Engine SQ is on, it's going to shut off the bass and treble control, as well as this feature down here, MediaXpander. We're going to go ahead and turn it off for right now, so we can take a look at MediaXpander. MediaXpander does a few different things for each individual source. So you'll notice it says FM, CarPlay, and Auxilary. And it has a default. It has FM MX2. You also have MX3. You can go the other way as well. So if you like MediaXpander, but let's say you don't want it on FM, you can go ahead and turn it off and allow it to stay on CarPlay and Auxilary. Now, each one of these does a specific thing for its source. The FM MediaXpander gives you a boost in the medium to high frequencies, becoming more clear and produce well-balanced sound. For CarPlay, it helps to fix any bad compression that might be there. The Auxilary is really the unique one. If you're going to use your Auxilary for any form of movie input, you have a movie selection. If you're going to use it just to play Auxilary from your phone, you have the CM PM MX feature, which is the same as the CarPlay, as well as just turning it off. Now, one other feature that it has is application volume. Application volume is source level adjust. So what it allows you to do is control the level for radio, auxiliary. Come in here and you can tap. Now, once in CarPlay, you have tons of adjustments to make. You can adjust the media you're listening to, your phone volume, ringers and alerts, notifications and navigation, and Siri's volume herself, so that if she's not loud enough, you can go and adjust all those volumes. Now, you also have preset EQ settings. So if you'd like to just use bass and treble, adjust bass and treble. If you'd like to use the user settings that it has, you have flat, pop, rock, news, jazz, electronic, hip-hop, easy listening, country, and classical. Once you select one of these, it is going to override the bass and treble settings that you have selected. Now, if you don't want to use the EQ at all, for whatever reason, let's say you're going to attach this to some form of external EQ, simply select defeat and it'll shut all these features off. So those are the sound settings.
Wait, so
What?
where's the crossover?
That is a great question. Out of the box, if you just use it as it is, you don't get the crossover. It's still there, but you need to do something in order to get to it. And that's download Alpine's TuneIt App from the App Store. It's an app that you can download to your phone so you can expand upon all the sound settings in the radio. And it's just been updated for these radios. Let's take a look at it. This is the TuneIt app. Here is where your parametric EQ, time correction, crossovers, the same MediaXpander that is in the radio is also here, balance and fader, subwoofer control, and bass engine SQ. All these features can be controlled from the phone over the Wi-Fi. You can adjust the EQ. Here's the parametric bands here. Time correction. This will allow you to go in and choose the distance for each speaker, as well as inches or centimeters. Your subwoofer. Here's your subwoofer volume. Balance and fader, as well as the center button. Your MediaXpander that we just talked about, and then your crossovers. You have front, rear, and sub crossover. And down here you can select your frequency, and down here your slope. It'll do flat, 6, or 12 dB slope. Now, if you fill out and make an account and tell what kind of car you have, you can also go onto Alpine's page, and then if someone has uploaded your car, you can download it. Or if you do all the settings, you can upload yours. It's supposed to be a social app for sound.
That's cool.
It could be. Alright, so that's everything that the new wireless CarPlay radio does for you. Fernando, if you please.
Thank you for watching. You guys can find us on Facebook, here on YouTube, Instagram, also on Twitter.
You guys have a great night as always, and we'll see you later next time. Bye.